Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to KPC News, your favorite Korean news and K entertainment, culture, and society show. I'm your host, David Kim. Welcome back for another weekly live stream. We've got another stacked up lineup for you this week. Just to show you what we have in store for today. These are going to be today's news, starting with Korea's last dog meat summer. Oof. The bus house controversy, actress Hayoung's pro-Japanese lineage controversy. That's probably the biggest debate in Korea right now. It was Liberation Day and Comfort Women Day recently, so we'll be covering that. And then we got the BTS might influence Grammys to discard Best Asian Pop category. I've actually moved this up first in the order board, so we'll be covering that first. And last but not least, there's going to be a little bit of chit chat slash big announcement for today. So you might wonder what that all is. If you've been a Patreon member, you already have a grasp of what I'm going to be telling you guys. But yes, if you do have an idea, please do not spoil it in the chat for the people who are going to join for today's live stream. So before we go on, okay, sorry about that intro over there. Let's greet some people in the chat. First of all, Ryan, glad to see you back in the chat. I know I've switched up the time a little bit for you guys. Just testing things here and there. I'll explain thoroughly in the chit chat part. And glad the night streams are bad. Yes. And Mags, hi. And Becky, lips sealed. Hi from Arlington. And what does the dog meat taste like? I've never tried it in my life. Indiana, hello from Norway. Okay. Yes, and please don't forget to like and subscribe while you're at it. All right, so without further ado, we got more than 70 people watching. I think it's going to hit that 100 mark in a minute. Hello, Mary Josh. And I'm already scared of the chit chat. Oh, no, it's nothing scary. If anything, it's going to be very positive. And Sarah, welcome from Australia. All right, guys, let's proceed on with today's show. So, first of all, yeah, this is the table of content. But next, be sure to check out the table of contents for the after show as well, because if you are if you're watching this stream and if you are curious about my personal life, how life feels nowadays as a 35-year-old in Seoul, anxiety kicking back, weddings, datings, friends, etc. Also, there's going to be a big announcement in this stream. We'll be doing the follow-up talk in the after show. And also, I watched the Odyssey over the weekend, and it's still the weekend here technically, but I'll be doing my review about it. It was a great film, by the way. So if you're interested in all this kind of extra content, please sign up as a Patreon member for free. If you're watching a replay, unfortunately, and fortunately, you'll have to support me a little bit so the channel keeps on going. Okay, so on to today's first news. This news has been pretty big over the weekend, right? The Grammys are reconsidering the Asian pop category following industry pushback. And if you've been following this ongoing debate, I'm sure everyone has, about the Western Music Awards. What is Asian pop? Well, big news dropped right on August 15th. Actually, today, the Recording Academy announced that it has officially been reviewing and reconsidering its newly created Best Asian Pop Music Performance category. And everybody knows what triggered this, right? Like, if you've been a channel member, if you've been watching the news, everybody knows where the impact is coming from. We truly did not believe something like this might happen, but here we are. So, here's a statement from the Recording Academy. It's really, really hot right now. Recording Academy CEO Harvey Mason Jr. released an official statement acknowledging significant concern across the music industry. So note that he did not just say K-pop or BTS only. It was worldwide. It was from all music fans and music industry experts. And he stated, regardless of our intentions to be more inclusive, it has become clear that some artists feel this category does not represent the music they have worked so hard to create. Okay, finally, you get it. And Mason noted that with the Grammy categories now exceeding 100, the Academy must rethink how it evolves its structure. So, where it stands right now, nothing has been actually confirmed or decided, but they are reconsidering. So, they might revise the standards or the rules, which is, I think, very big, step at the time being, right? And then moving on, Billboard reported that the Recording Academy has convened its full board of trustees alongside the awards and nominations committees to re-evaluate the category's criteria. So something beneath the waters is going on. Behind the scenes, there is active action from the Recording Academy. They are maybe going to actually get rid of or revise the criteria. Now, that's a question I want to ask you guys. What do you think? Will they actually get rid of this whole Best Asian Pop Performance category, or do you think they'll just like revise it a little bit, patch it up, just easing out the standards and then just revamp it? What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments, please. But yes, executive leadership confirmed ongoing consultation sessions with major Asian music labels. Exactly what I've been saying for the past few weeks. I've been saying this on my live streams and the news sessions. Please include the actual players that are in this scene, like the music industry, the Asian music labels, aka giants like Hybe, or prominent J-pop to C-pop, Indian music representatives. So finally, they are actually getting some voices heard from the scene itself. So industry insiders predict an unprecedented swift overhaul of restructuring of the category ahead of the upcoming ceremony cycle. So notice how Billboard and industry insiders are saying the word restructuring. So odds are that they're probably going to push through with this category, but we don't know if they're going to actually change the name or they're just going to fix the rules or the standards. So what kind of action they're going to make, what kind of weight they're putting into their actions is a question mark for now. But yes, the core issue that's being addressed is that the reevaluation focuses on whether language-based or region-based criteria, such as requiring non-English Asian languages, accidentally, is just marginalizing and boxing in global Asian artists into a peripheral category rather than acknowledging them in the general fields like record of the year, album of the year, song of the year, right? So there have been a lot of debates about this, and it's finally good to see some kind of change being happening. So yeah, as I've told you, do you think it's going to be revamped, reconstructed, or gotten rid of entirely? And this is all thanks to who speak it, like, yell it louder for the people in the back. This is all thanks to who? BTS, right? So, like, the Korean news has been doubling down despite being the weekend right now. KBS, NBC, everyone has been jumping on this news so far, saying BTS has influenced, impacted the Recording Academy, a prestigious, a very, a big authority in the music industry, to actually change or revisit its rules and criteria for the Best Asian Music category. And the dominant Korean sentiment about this is definitely like people are proud. People are like, good job, BTS. Wow, it's so groundbreaking the fact that, a K-pop group, BTS, a Korean group has, where we're standing right now. Like, we actually have a voice. We actually have a voice that can influence Western traditional organizations that hold the authority in the scene, right? So there's definitely consensus, and also in general about the Best Asian Pop. I'm sorry, like, it's so long. Every time I say it, I get the name wrong, but the Best Asian Pop music performance whatever category. So there is consensus that Asian artists who dominate the global charts should be judged as mainstream pop acts not boxed into a specialized tier, right? We've been going through this whole debate throughout the whole other week. So please check out the past live streams. But at the same time, global sentiment is pretty much the same, I would say, among the K-pop sector or the ARMY fandom and people who are, interested in this fact. But if you go outside a little bit to like, some music critics or the music industry in general, I've been seeing diverse opinions on the internet. Some have claimed that, might have guaranteed some visibility and dedicated representation and trophies to Asian acts that might get more discovery and recognition through this. And there have been pros and cons, right? So people are shook right now. I don't think the music critics have reacted to this news yet, but it's going to be very interesting to see what these people that think differently about this issue are going to say about this. Are they going to be seeing this as like a defeat or a better step forward, or are they going to criticize the Grammys for falling back on their decision? Or I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. But yes, I think all in all, the Recording Academy's willingness to review its policies shows that institutional gatekeeping. I'll just call it gatekeeping, right? That's my stance. Can be challenged when global music hubs, including Asia now, including authorities in the scene like BTS, demand equal status. This is a huge change, actually, if you think of the power dynamics and the Western validation and the traditional music industry and how it operated until now, right? Like business wise, capital wise, where the center of it was, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So restructuring the category, I think, is a necessary step to genuine inclusion if they actually want to follow the right direction. Right. So, yes, I'm curious what you think in the chat. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Michelle says, at this point, I don't care what the Grammys does. Glad BTS took a stand and sent a clear message. Yes, right? Like, there are a lot of people doubting BTS on why they're doing this. I don't understand their decision, blah, blah, blah. But here you go. Like, these are the results. I'm very, very proud of it. Aminelli says, I love to believe that after BTS's stand, the Asian music community refused to submit their art for consideration in this new category, and the RA had no one to award it to. So about that, I think a little bit differently. I do think that there would have been a good amount of group of Asian music artists, despite the Asian pop music category, that they would have submitted, because like BTS is BTS, they're big enough, they don't need the Grammys. But some other artists in the K-pop sector, or like J-pop, C-pop, we were all talking about, might have wanted that, right? So I do think there would have been some submissions, but because the whole wave and the impact, the butterfly, the ripple effect BTS created was so huge, and the backlash was so huge on the internet. It was creating a negative discourse towards the Grammys, and it actually scarred the Grammys' authority and their direction. It was questionable, right? I think because of that, they are reconsidering. I am not sure about whether like there was a shortage on submit. I mean, the submissions haven't even started yet, right? So yeah, maybe they did like a survey internally or something, but still, I don't think that would be the case. But yeah, I think it would have affected at least some amount of artists, right? Like that wanted to, but they were like, oh, BTS did this. Yeah, maybe we should rethink it. Like, I think that might be a possibility, but yeah. Yes. Oh, most definitely. Smaller groups would run to try to catch a Grammy. Yes. Best global pop songs gives it a wider selection instead of just a Western pick. They are just saying they will consider changing. That really isn't much. Yeah, we'll have to see how this unfolds, whether this is just a temporary measure to just like, give a little candy and just make people happy, and oh yeah, let's just give them what they want and then just like continue on with what they were supposed wanted to do. So we'll have to see. But I wonder about Hybe's stands. Hybe's stand when was I wonder about Hybe's stand when was what Hive's stand was when these new discussions happened. Well, initially Hive said that BTS is individually putting this out. So other Hybe group sub labels or groups, they're open to submitting to the Grammys. So yeah, that was Hybe's stance. After this, I don't know if they'll actually put out something. I don't think it's necessary until we see a finalized, concrete version of a change or a revision. So until then, I think Hybe is just gonna, go with the flow. Yeah. BTS plus advertisers equals change. We'll see. Is what they do makes sense? If what they do makes sense, yes. Yeah, definitely. The Grammys have already recognized how much traffic and how much advertising and how much indicators online like likes and shares, all that impact BTS has, and without them, they're gonna have a major loss. And if you know anything about how corporate like work works, like if you're an employee there, and if you're like the social media manager, or if you're like the campaign manager, the marketing manager, like the media buying department, and you're seeing it actually getting affected, and you're already like foreseeing that happening, you'll be like, oh shit, how am I gonna satisfy the higher ups? Because like last time we had BTS, but if we don't have them this time, the viewership, the engagement, all these indicators are going to dwindle. So, the KPIs are not going to be met. So people, there might have been internal voices as well, like conflict. Yes. All right, Aaron. Thank you for the $2. Who wants a Grammy? And then I'm not going to read the rest. I'm sorry about that, but it's inappropriate for the stream. Yes. Okay. And let's see what other people are talking about. The Guardian pointed out that the Grammys didn't make a European pop category for Ed Sheeran or Dua Lipa, so why is there all of a sudden an Asian pop category? Exactly. Everyone's been talking about that. Yeah, right? Like, Ed Sheeran, Adele, Coldplay. There should be a UK pop version for the category. So yeah, exactly. What's the distinguishing point, right? So, all right, but this is totally phenomenal. I never like imagined this happening. Actually, I kind of did. Yeah, I didn't doubt BTS. Like I didn't doubt their impact, but I never saw the Grammys actually reacting this fast. Yeah, them folding a little bit. So we'll have to at the end of the day, we'll have to see the end result. But this is a big win for now. It's a big influence. It's a big win, and I think we should celebrate. Yeah. Yes. Yes, they'd be seriously screwed. Yes, and the Recording Academy social media manager is probably in a padded room somewhere. Exactly. They're freaking out now. All right, so yeah, on to the next news. We have some happy news. It might be a little gruesome, so yeah, please bear with it. But yes, the next news is about South Korea marks its final Poknar before dog meat ban. So for generations in Korea, Poknar, I actually wrote about this in my weekly newsletter on the KPC Patreon. I covered it last week because we have 3 days in the middle of the summer where our ancestors deemed it was the hottest within the year and summer, and we call it Sambo. It's called Pongnar, and traditionally it's associated with eating stamina replenishing foods. And it's supposed to be very hot soup. We have this saying called "이열치열," we fight heat with fire. I don't know if that's scientifically proven. I personally don't agree to it. I like to go eat ice slushies and naengmyeon cold noodles during the summer, but our ancestors thought differently. They thought we needed to shove in that heat to fight the actual heat. Yeah, I think it just gets hotter. But anyways, that's what our ancestors thought. But this summer's Pongnar is pretty special because it's carrying special historical weight as it is the final one before the full enforcement of South Korea's dog meat trade ban takes effect. So dog meat is banned officially in South Korea, and it's actually taking effect in 2027. So, here's where the law and industry stand today. By the way, this is a picture of a traditional market where you'll find signboards like 보신탕. So 보신탕 stands for dog meat soup, and 보신 is a Chinese character for replenishing your body. Apparently, our ancestors thought dog meat was very good and nutritious for your body. Yes. But okay, this was why said it's a little sad and gruesome if you look at the pictures, but this is how the dogs are, you know, caged in for the meat farms and all that. But yeah, just to introduce you the legal timeline and enforcement. In early 2024, South Korea passed the landmark Special Act on ending the breeding, slaughter, and distribution of dogs for human consumption. And the law established a 3-year transition period with full criminal penalties and strict enforcement scheduled to begin in February 2027. Now, you might be asking, like, why don't you just get rid of it right off the bat, like instantly? Well, the thing is, it's a very tricky situation because this was a deeply rooted industry, not big, but still there were people operating their small businesses under like dog meat restaurants, dog meat farms. So there were people and they had their livelihood connected to this. So if the government just bans it instantly, then these people would not be able to self-sustain themselves, right? So they gave them a 3-year transition grace period to like move to a different industry or think of a different business they could do, like, I don't know, duck meat or chicken or something like that. They could contact different farms and make contracts. So yes, there was that 3-year transition period. I think it was long enough. And also there were definitely efforts from the government side to smoothen that process, like subsidiaries or hearing their voices, consultation, stuff like that. And I think they actually got some compensation as well. So August 14th, yesterday, 2026, Marbok, the final heat wave day, marked the absolute last 복날 season under legal operation. So what you shouldn't confuse here is that 복날 is just a hot day, right? We're still gonna have 복날 itself, the 3 days, and a lot of people are gonna eat like chicken soup and stuff like that. But it was a standard tradition to go seek dog meat during 복날. Dog meat was one of the most representative foods, and like younger folks, I don't think anyone in my age or in my generation would have even tasted dog meat soup before. But the older generation, I don't think even my parents' generation would favor dog meat. But like if you go to my grandpa's generation, I'm pretty sure they've probably like yeah tasted it before. Yeah, as gruesome as it sounds. But yes, we are totally getting rid of it. So Pongnar is going to change. No more dog meat. So that's very good. My personal stance. And here's some statistics for you guys. So, Agricultural Ministry data confirms that active dog breeding farms nationwide have plummeted by over 82%. So, it's basically been wiped out. Everyone has transitioned into a different industry. And as government closure and compensation programs have been taking effect, they have been seen as effective, right? So wholesale dog meat supply has dropped sharply, causing prices to surge, while customer foot traffic at traditional 보신탕, aka dog meat soup restaurants, have collapsed over 90%. So basically, there's no demand anymore. Like if there is any, it's gonna be like super old guys that are really into the niche and they can't live without dog meat and they really believe that this shit is like actually so good to your body. Like yeah, they'll actually pay more for that, right? So other than those like niched customer bases, now you can basically say it's all wiped out. It's all gone, right? So yeah, instead we always have an alternative, and this is actually so dog meat soup. I would say even during Pongnar was in the minority side. It wasn't the majority. People would not go eat dog meat soup over samgyetang over here. So samgyetang is the most representative Pongnar meal. It's made out of chicken, as you can see. We put a full chicken in there, and we have like medicine, herbs, and then like kimchi and all these side dishes with the rice, and it's really really good. And the vast majority of remaining what do you call it? The vast majority of the uh, public prefer samgyetang. And as I've said, like nobody has actually tasted dog meat soup before. And yeah, the younger demographics right now are doubling down on the samgyetang craze because they're making it super fancy. They're exporting it to other countries. Recently, I was in Singapore, and like on the first floor of my hostel, there was like this fancy samgyetang place. I was super surprised to see that, and it was lined up with people. So yeah, it's getting famous overseas. I definitely like to just cherish and celebrate the meaning of Pongnar because it's like a historical thing, and it's like you don't lose anything by celebrating it, right? It's not a day to actually celebrate, but it's like Pepero Day. Like it doesn't really mean anything, but like just out of the feelings, you want to be a part of society and talk with people. And if you're in a company and the boss is like, "Oh, what should we eat today?" and the employee would be like, "Oh, it's Pongnar. Why don't we go eat chicken?" Oh, that's right decision. So that's how it works. So another interesting fact is that nowadays younger people, because it's hot soup, and I don't like hot stuff during the summer, a lot of people just go to chicken places, fried chicken. So they go to K fried chicken. Actually, I'm starving right now. I could actually uh, use some chicken. But yeah, anyways, that's a good change. And the dominant Korean sentiment behind this is overwhelmingly supportive, and it accepts the ban as a natural progression. High rates of pet ownership, like actually 25% of the whole population owns dogs now, and across Korea. And yeah, it's the public perception has just changed over the years, making dog meat consumption just culturally kind of obsolete for the modern generation. So I think it's a natural change. Yeah, dogs, puppies are man's best friend. I mean, I guess it's a Western kind of culture, but yeah, it's crossed over and they're cute. There are companions. I have a doggo right over there, and yeah, she's well sleeping. But yeah, you know, like we've adopted the culture and we love dogs, not in the eating way. But yeah, I think it's a good change. But of course there are minor debates. It's already a done thing. There's no going back. Like we can't reverse the law. But there are minorities that always point out the logical flaws. So if you actually get into the logical debate of like whether we should ban dog meat at all, whether if it's based on sentiment or not. Like if you go through the logic, it's like what's the difference between dogs, chickens, cows, and like with this, like chicken consumption is going to skyrocket. So what you're saying is you don't feel bad for chickens that are captured in chicken cages and they're being butchered. Well, like you just like feel like dogs are cute, so they deserve more or something like that. So it's based on human perspective. It's very double standard. Like if you logically, technically approach it, I totally understand that. But human societies develop cultures and consensuses and sentiments. So yeah, not everything can be 100% logical, in my opinion. And the government tried its best to compensate the business owner. So I think we're at this point where, yeah, everyone's pretty satisfied and there's a national consensus. So we can move on with this, right? So let me hear your opinions about the dog meat debate. Um, Crash Override, thank you for the dessert. That is a very sensible dessert there. Yeah, that is a dog bone. Thank you for the YouTube gift. And yeah, where is the comments? Okay. Uh, you love curry, goat, and oxtail. Well, I've never had that before. I love your transparency on this subject, David. Well, I'm not a supporter of dog meat in but I just like to balance the narratives. No, I had dog meat back in Korea when I was around 5 years old and too poor to eat out. I still remember the taste, extremely gamey taste and so much spices. Don't recommend it. Stinky also. That's what I heard from a lot of people too. Like it's not actually that good. Like if there's like a choice between pork, beef, and whatever, then people would just choose the other. I find this inhumane and gross, but if it's a cultural thing, then I eat pork, beef, seafood, and who am I to judge? Exactly, right? Think I'll have a salad now. Yeah. I think I'll order some chicken. So, yeah. And let's see. Okay, yeah, if you'd like to buy me a chicken or a pizza, ko-fi.com/KPC David Kim over here. And by the way, if you send reactions over these thresholds, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, you will get a special reaction. I've upgraded my streams. So look at this over here, donation reactions over here. So if you're curious, it's up to you. All right, so Broccoli says, I want to try dog meat. I'm sure I'll be able to get it off menu. Well, not anymore in Korea, so you'll have to go to China or somewhere. Yes, it was banned a while ago, but now it's taking effect. Yeah. My dad always drank hot tea to cool down. Is your dad Asian? I don't know, but well, if he is, maybe he shares the view of ER Chior, right? Yes. And yeah. You just want to taste it once? I would not like to taste it. As a dog owner myself, I could never. I would see my dog's face in the bowl, and she would be like looking at me, staring at me with those teary eyes, so I could never, right? So yeah. I hope Doggo has been covering her ears during this discussion. She's quiet and she's like, yeah, asleep, so it's okay. It's okay over here. I'm not going to take advice on what to eat from people who eat snails and frogs. Oh, yeah. Are you talking about the French and the Europeans? Yeah, everyone has different standards. Like, it's cultural relativity, right? Hong Teja, thank you for the water gun YouTube gift. Okay, thank you so much. And, yeah. Okay. Someone supported me on Ko-Fi. Let's see what's going on over here. All right. And another PayPal coming through. Loretta, thank you so much. I don't know how much it was, so let's see. And oh, Loretta sent another 20. Okay. Let's see what I got for a $20 reaction over here. So, it's a full bow. Loretta, this is a full bow for you. 감사합니다. 잘 받으세요. 감사합니다. Full bow. 감사합니다. So that's a $20 reaction for you guys. All right. I don't know if you liked it or not. My green screen is moving in the background. But yeah. Yeah, I'm showing my deepest gratefulness with the deep bow. Okay. So yeah, fun new attribute to the live stream. If you're curious about the 50 and 100, well, let me know, okay? David, that's too cringe. Don't do it anymore. I think it's better than pizza, right? So I upped my game. Okay. Well, anyways, that was happy news. And moving on to the next segment over here. So, well, check out my latest video about San. He got mocked by football fans, and there's a war going on between K-pop fans and football fans on X and on Instagram right now, just because he did his viral bad dance and he kicked the ball in a weird way. So please check that video out. It's low in views right now. I don't know why, but I'm so sad. Please go support it. And yes, if you find this live stream so far entertaining, informational, helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet, because, you know, our unsubscribe rate is still at 65%. I don't know why you guys are tuning into my weekly live streams without subscribing, right? So turn your notification bells on if you want to know exactly when the live streams start. And as I've told you already, any support from Ko-Fi, PayPal, and Super Chat will be rewarded with my new reactions and appreciated properly So after each news segment, though, I can't do it immediately during the news, right? So yeah, take that into account. I'm just trying to upgrade my live streams and make it more entertaining for you guys. Okay, so yes, so cute. Pizza is cute. Okay, wow, I'm getting more stuff over here. Oh, Kathy. Okay. Wow, I'm getting too many things at once. Kathy gave me a 10. Okay, what is a 10? 10 is a half bow. So I'll stand up and give you a half bow. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. Kathy, thank you so much. And oh wow, I really need to learn how to um, check on Ko-fi on how much you guys are sending right now. So give me some time over here. I need to honor and respect the hard-earned money you guys are sending to me. So I'm going to my page at the moment, checking. Yes. Kathy. Okay, so it was a double alert. Yes. All right. So yeah, Kathy and Loretta, thank you so much. Okay, you see my bald spot? I'm bald. I'm balding, guys. I'm losing hair. Yeah, please. I'm 35 right now. I need medication. We're living in a crazy world, right? Yeah. I won't be able to marry anybody at this rate. So please support me. And on to the next news. All right. So what's happening over here? Okay, so this is pretty hilarious. This is very hilarious, and this is the kind of news you'll only see in Korea. So this is the kind of political debates we're going through right now. So lawmaker sparks anger with the bus house youth housing proposal. You might be wondering what the heck is a bus house, right? So finding affordable housing in Seoul is a massive stressor for young adults. Everyone knows that, right? But a recent proposal by a lawmaker left young voters questioning if politicians actually understand their reality. So a policy suggesting converting scrapped public buses into youth apartments ignited immediate outrage, and here's why it went down in flames in just 3 hours. It got instantaneous reactions and backlash from the youth and the public, and everyone started just eating this guy up. His name is Hwang Hee, by the way. And on August 7th, this week, Representative Hwang Hee of the Democratic Party of Korea posted a social media policy proposal titled the Bus House Initiative, and he suggested remodeling retired city buses into micro-residential units to supply immediate, low-cost housing for university students and young workers. Now, this was seen like as very, very, you know, very distasteful, I would say. So his backing, his logic was that he went, I guess he took a trip to Amsterdam or something, and he saw these boat houses, and he got inspired by that, and he estimated the remodeling cost of these buses by 36K per vehicle, claiming it could rapidly deploy 10,000 units near transit hubs. So he wants the youth to live near transit hubs. So he was like, "Oh wow, boat houses! How romantic is that?" Like he went to the Netherlands and just got that inspiration. He was like, "Wait, this is a genius idea. We have transit hubs, we have buses, and we sell and export a lot of our used buses to other countries. Actually, that's a fact. If you go to random places in Southeast Asia or Africa, you'll see a lot of like Korean buses still with the Korean advertisements on it, and they're used buses, and these countries you buy the used ones. So he's like, why not we use it, renovate it, and give it to the youth and house them there? Apparently, he thought it was a great idea. Well, the public reaction was immediately ferocious, and the content went viral for all the wrong reasons. It made a lot of AI generations like this, and young voters thought it was dystopian and it was insulting, and critics accused political leaders of offering scrap metal band-aids instead of resolving real estate speculation, soaring rents, and rental fraud. So we got so many problems to tackle, to eradicate in this very, very number one issue, I would say. Like the number one issue in South Korea, I would say, is housing and housing prices. The low birth rate, everything is because of housing prices. Yeah, that is a fact. And yeah, he faced intense public pressure from the youth advocacy groups saying like, you seriously aren't focusing on these serious issues and you're suggesting bus houses as an alternative? Like, oh, we can't solve it. You guys live in bus houses. Oh, isn't it so romantic and cheap, affordable? And after that, the lawmaker deleted his social media post just 3 hours after publishing it. It hit the news so fast like a wildfire. And I want to ask you guys, would this sit right in your own country? Like, I know in the US there are trailer parks and there are like big, mobile homes and stuff, but still, if a lawmaker came out and said like, "Oh, New York, LA housing prices are exceeding its limits. It's getting outrageous. I have a great idea. Why not we renovate buses and you guys can live there? And it only costs like $30,000. Isn't that so affordable?" Would that sit right with the voters and your public? I'm really curious because it might be a cultural difference. Some people might say, "What's wrong with trailer homes?" Right? So, yeah, well, like these are AI rendered pictures of what he imagined, probably, right? And yeah, the youth totally rejected it, and young Koreans argued that proposing modified vehicles as living quarters reflects a complete disconnect from youth poverty and urban living standards. So, yeah, I'm curious about what you think about this subject. US does this. It ain't for me. It actually does it? Really? I can see this being offered as a short-term solution, but becoming long-term, I assume is a no-no. What's wrong with bus houses? Isn't it similar to RVs? The thing is, I don't think you can move around these buses. I don't know. Yeah. No one lives in trailer homes in Korea, so this will not be accepted. Exactly. We don't have the concept of trailer homes or trailer parks in the first place. We don't have that much land, and everybody has to work in the city center, so we have a lot of apartments. That's why the population density is so high. Um, and many in the US do this. I'm really surprised. This is the question I asked. But politicians in cities often try to ban even parking in them in their towns. Okay. Where would you put them in Seoul? Apparently, they're saying transit hubs. So, like, as this picture shows, like in the middle of like a huge metro station or an express bus terminal, and there's like parking spots, I guess. So yeah, um, typical armchair politicians. What a freaking justification. Yeah. Okay. So, various kinds of tiny houses are extremely popular in the U.S. It does not solve the basic housing issue, but it is a trend here. Now, okay, like I think it's a different kind of thing. So I don't know about trailer homes because like culturally it's not just like tied to Korea, but Samsung, LG are now stepping up and making small houses, like mobile houses that are super like compact but have like well furnished interior inside, air conditioned, like refrigerators, everything inside, and it costs like a fraction of what it would cost for an apartment. And the fact that these conglomerates are actually building them and they're showcasing them has gotten, I think, a little bit of approval from the people. People are still reluctant on it because, like, who would prefer an actual, who would prefer a mini house, like a compact house, over like an actual real house or an apartment? But still, people are like, okay, if Samsung and LG's making it, and yeah, if it's like fully furbished, then why not? Like so, like if I don't have enough money and I can't afford a house, then yeah, might as well. But like bus houses, the nuance here is different. These are used buses. They aren't even manufactured for home purposes. They aren't like houses in the first place. The difference is like these big companies like Samsung are actually uh, blueprinting it initially designed for homes and home appliances. And it has all that smart tech inside. Like you can control everything with your app and stuff. So yeah. I live in Latin America. I don't see anything wrong with the idea. Really? Well, here in Korea, it's getting so much outrage. Well, I guess it's a cultural difference. Or maybe everyone's just standards are super up there, but like if you come to Seoul, you might understand why this is a bad idea. Yeah. Um, Manufactured homes in the US are what you are describing Samsung is making. They're nice with all the amenities. Exactly. Yeah, if it was like that, that would be great. If this lawmaker came out and saying like, "Oh, we're going to give subsidiaries and funds to young people who want to live a little bit in the outskirts of Seoul in these manufactured tiny homes." That would have been an okay proposition, but I think like scrap buses and renovating them, I don't think so. Yeah, right? So, anyways, this was a fun news that I came across this week. It was pretty interesting, and the immediate backlash sending people was very funny. Yeah, so yes, it will not fly in Korea. I wonder how it would fly in Europe. We've been talking a lot about America and Latin America, but what about Europe? I don't think this would sit well. Like, yeah. Over there. Yes, right? Okay. So, we got some news remaining, but before we go on over here, so I'd like to introduce you to my new newsletter on Patreon. I send you 1 to 2 newsletters per week. Last week I was talking about Pongnar, and I was talking about, I guess what was it like? Yeah, I forgot, but what was it last week? What did I post on my newsletter was? Oh yeah, this isn't my site. But anyways, you can get a lot of informational content and insight about Korean culture on my newsletters. All you have to do is go to Patreon and just sign up. And it's one click. You're one click away from unlocking this. It's free. There's a paid version of it where you can get extra insight and my takes and unfiltered takes about the topic itself. But up to the point where I'm just giving you the basic facts and information. It's free, so please do sign up for it. It gets delivered to your mail inbox. You can just scroll it while you're commuting. And also, if you don't know, I have exclusive podcasts on Patreon as well for $10. I discuss my personal life, my vulnerabilities, my plans for content, and more. So yeah, you can replay it, you can watch it, listen to it anytime you want if you are in the $10 tier member. So yes, last podcast I talked about the worst July ever, having my first panic attack and being hopeful for the rest of August and this year. So yeah, please go check it out. hmm And as I told you before, any direct donations through Ko-Fi and PayPal are always appreciated. I ditched Buy Me a Coffee because like I found out their commissions are even higher. So yeah, Ko-Fi is the best support platform. So please check it out. Here's the QR code if you want to scan it. If you're watching it on the live screen on your TV right now. And here's the PayPal link. Appreciate any kind of donations and support. All right, on to the next news. So this is the biggest news of the week so far. Hmm. Yes, I'm pretty sure you've heard of this controversy. It's ongoing, I would say. Actor Hayoung apologized over pro-Japanese great-grandfather controversy. So in South Korea, family history can instantly become a subject of intense public scrutiny. And actor Hayoung recently learned this the hard way after a broadcast appearance. Sharing her family's medical background led to historical investigations, public apologies, and canceled schedules. Now, here's what happened. So, she was on this show on August 7th, and it was a national TV talk show where she spoke proudly about her four-generation family of doctors. Like she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm proud of my family. They're a prestigious family." And she shared that her great grandfather, An Sang-ho, his name, studied Western medicine during the Japanese. During the Joseon era, he studied Western medicine in Japan, and he established one of Seoul's earliest Western clinics, and he even treated Emperor Gojong, is what he said. So Gojong is one of the last emperors of the de facto last emperor of the Chosun dynasty. So we have one more emperor, but he was like, very young, and he was basically like a puppet of Japan. So, anyways, we claim that Gojong is like the actual, yeah, last emperor of Chosun. But this whole statement was just it just unraveled in a totally wrong direction because viewers actually were interested. They were like, "Oh, who is this An Sang-ho guy? If he is actually what she claims, then yeah, like I'm interested in actually knowing about his achievements and what kind of part he played in the Joseon dynasty and all that." But contrary to her belief, historical archives from the Japanese colonial period revealed that An Sang-ho held seats on municipal councils under colonial authority and participated in pro-Japanese organizations like the Daejong Chinmokhae in 1916 and helped organize a 1909 memorial event for Hirobumi Ito, which was a major oppressor of Korea. So basically, she was totally wrong, and she had false information about her great grandfather, and she boasted and bragged about it on national TV, but came back to bite her because he was actually a pro Japanese person. And then, obviously, the Center of Historical Truth and Justice clarified that while An Sang-ho committed pro-Japanese acts, his record did not meet the strict threshold for official inclusion in the dictionary of pro-Japanese collaborators due to a lack of high-level anti-national leadership. And after initial agency denials, Hayoung issued a handwritten personal apology stating, "I only knew fragmentary aspects of my family history. Ignorance is no excuse when dealing with historical pain," and she recognized her faults. So, subsequent media interviews for her upcoming streaming series were canceled, and yeah, some people are saying like people are being too harsh on her. I kind of agree to that, but you got to understand the context here, why people are so mad at her. First of all, they aren't mad at her per se. They are mad at her like being ignorant about her privilege that she had, to the fact that she had to be proud about it on national TV, which means what her family believed until this day, where they got their wealth from, was totally from a wrong source, and they were super proud about it. And there's nothing wrong with ignorance, but then if you go deeper into the actual context, there's a lot of sensitivity around the Chinirpa, which is called the pro-Japanese collaborators, because like basically what these guys did were they just sold out our country. They betrayed our country. They actually had operations, and they collaborated with the Japanese to assassinate our then empress and all that kind of stuff. They burned their bodies, and they capitalized over everything. They got compensation in land, in leadership, in wealth, a lot of these things. So they were betrayals of our country during the Japanese colonial rule. And yeah, because the main outrage, as I said, it stemmed not merely from her lineage itself, but from taking uncritical pride on public television in status and privileges acquired during the colonial rule without verifying historical facts. And then what even more angered the public was how her agency, and her family reacted to this initially. They came out saying, "No, we're right. Like, we know that our great grandfather was a very, proud physician, and he did a lot of good things from Joseon, and all these rumors are baseless. But then actual people, like historians, verified, and it was all false. People were like, so you didn't even care to double check, and you were just like saying that you have no fault in it, and now you're coming out and just saying, look, I didn't know, I'm so sorry. It's kind of questionable on how she responded. So I think the backlash is more focused on how her and her agency and her family responded to this issue. They didn't do research for themselves. They didn't even take the extra step to actually question or doubt these critical claims. And they were just like very, like, oh no, this is false. So yeah. Um, so yeah, like Korean people are not brain dead. We're not like, oh yeah, you're the ancestor. You're now the great granddaughter of some person who was like pro Japanese. You should fall in hell. Like your bloodline is tarnished, and you're the blood. You have the blood of a devil. No, it's not like that. There's a reason for everything, and on top of that, of course, there's going to be brain dead people who just like hate anyone associated to the Japanese. But yeah, so I see a lot of comments from foreigners in the Korean Herald or like media outlets saying like, why are Korean people so stuck up with this? Like she has no fault. Like she didn't have any choice to be born in this family. Of course, everybody knows that, but like the way she handled and mediated the situation was very, very tone deaf and wrong. And it was proven to be false as well. So that's where the rage sits. And more excavations of like what her great great grandfather did are just coming out like, every day. Like, so yeah. The thing is, in Korea, a lot of wealthy people actually, if you inherited your wealth from your great great grandfather generation, chances are that they were from a pro Japanese family. The thing is, when the Japanese conquered Korea, they stripped everyone who was in power that were against them, that rebelled against them, and stole all their food, their houses, their authority, their positions, everything. And then they replaced the positions and the wealthy with people that were cooperative, that sold out our own country, that tortured our own people, that were cooperative and brainwashing our own people, saying like, "Oh, we shouldn't use Korean anymore. You should forget your Korean name. Your name is like Ito Hirobumi or something." And they forced people to use Japanese, and some people actually enslaved people to be like workers on farms for the Japanese because they were going through a lot of war and they needed a lot of like crops and rice and supplements, and they needed a lot. Some people were doing forced labor in factories, making like bullets and armory. Also, like there was the sex slaves, the comfort women. So a lot of these people that resisted towards the Japanese were either forced into labor or enslaved or killed or tortured. So the wealthy, the independent activists, we call them the independent warriors, that fought against the Japanese underground with like secret organizations, and they threw bombs and stuff like that. These people, the many of them were from noble families or rich families because inevitably, in order for you need to maintain an organization, you need to feed the people, you need to get the resources, to get the arms, to get the bombs, to have intel, or like, you need the resources, right? So the irony is during the Japanese colonial era, the actual rich and noble people that fought against the Japanese got dirt poor. They just depleted all their wealth. And the new traders that stuck with the Japanese, they built new wealth. And then afterwards, what's even effed up is after the World War II ended and Japan just retreated from her country, you would have thought that our government or then leaders would do a whole like purge on these pro-Japanese people, right? That would be the big question. But ironically, that's not what happened. We transitioned immediately into the North and South Korea dispute, and then China, Russia, and then America came in, and everyone was just so focused on that. We were focused on fighting communism rather than eradicating the remnants of the pro-Japanese people and the Japanese colonial rule. So people were busy, and there was a new common enemy. So, like the thing is, the Americans, like, we are eternally grateful to the U.S. because, like, General MacArthur and everything, the Hiroshima Nagasaki bomb was basically what liberated Korea, right? So we are in debt to America, but at the same time, when the American troops and the leadership actually intervened with our internal politics, when they came in, they were like, oh, we have a more pressing issue right now. We need to fight the commies. We need to deter North Korea and China coming down and like making the Korean Peninsula communist. So that's our first focus. And in order for us to move on forward faster and efficient, people who are already in power and who have the knowledge, who are educated, and who are on the top of the chains in administrative organizations and whatnot should just continue. Like, why pull down these people if they're already acting as efficient, civil service workers or administrative heads? Like, just let them keep their jobs and positions. And yeah, just let society function as a whole because we have more urgent issues to confront over here. So that was the focus, and of course, the public, the general public, the commoners, have no power against like, America or the actual leadership, right? And these people who already accumulated the wealth during the Japanese era, they had the firepower, they had the manpower, they had the resources, and yeah, it just continued on, and even on to modern Korean era. Like, generation after generation, it got diluted. People forgot who was on pro Japan side. There wasn't like an actual track record. The government is now making efforts into like actually like excavating more and more. But yeah, like, these people hid under the shadows and they kept their wealth and they kept inheriting it down. And that's why, even to this day, a lot of people who own hospitals, universities, big companies, gas stations, farms, whatever it is, land, are a big portion of it is from the pro-Japanese lineage and heritage. Heritage? No, like the families. Yeah. So, and there's no way to actually hold them accountable or responsible, like the ancestors, the descendants or the new generations. They innately have no fault, right? So it's very tricky. Where do you draw the line? Like, how are you actually going to get back and take accountability from these people? So, yeah, it's a whole different story over there. But we do have like these certain list of people who were the biggest traders of Korea, and yeah, the family members of these particular members who were like who sold out the country itself, they're being tracked. So yeah, it's very sad that our independence warriors are living in poverty and they only get so much compensation from the government, and I think it's effed up, but it's a side effect of our country being torn apart and being colonized. Yeah. Okay, that was a long segment. Let me go into the comment section, see what you guys are talking about. Yes, let's see. Exactly. I wish people could look at it after they educate themselves before making any misjudgment of someone else's country. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see the context. I wonder how much she actually knew about that side at her family history. No one in their right mind would knowingly bring something like this up and potentially sabotage their inquiry. Exactly. She didn't know. She was ignorant about it. But what came afterwards, the statement of the label and the family, what they put up immediately after this without confirming, stirred up the pot. Yeah. China still hates Japan due to the Nanjing massacre. Exactly, thousands and thousands of bodies. They depict that the bodies constructed even like the scene of like filling up a whole river. That's crazy. Yeah. Like I said, Korea should have punished and taken back all the money and land from their collaborators right after World War II, but they failed to do so. Of course, because everyone in the top of the food chain were pro-Japanese, and the commoners had no power. And then the U.S. came in, and they were like the mediators, or like the transitional uh, vouchers for our country. So nobody really had the power to do so. And then suddenly ideology war came in and it got divided into North and South. And we had the Korean War upcoming. Yeah, so messed up. Um, let's see some other comments over here. There hasn't been enough time to heal from those deep wounds. Also, right around Independence Day is extra sensitive. Exactly. Yes, that added more to this. Bragging about her family's wealth and their 5 refrigerators with the rotten meat on a variety show didn't help. Okay, yeah. Uh, let's see. Okay. Yeah. Basically the same as Nazi collaborators during World War II. Yep. hmm Yeah. So it's a complex situation, and it's very sad, but yeah. It is what it is. No, it is not what it is. Yeah, we got to make measures about this. And in the meantime, okay, Gwendolyn, thank you so much for the $10, and Kathy, saying thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. Thank you so much. There you go. Okay, Gwendolyn and Kathy, I will give you a bow. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $10. And has Japan ever apologized? Well, that's the tricky part. It's very tricky because what do you? It's so there were past administrations that are a little bit more friendly towards Japan, and there are hostile governments towards Japan, like in Korea, right? We have different parties and their stances. And some administrations, whenever it's like Liberation Day, we ask for an apology, and Japan gives out like a formal apology, like from their foreign minister affairs or like their embassy. They're like, oh yeah, we apologize on behalf of whatever, blah 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 blah. And some administrations say that that's enough. They've apologized. Until when are we going to demand apologies? While other administrations say that's a half-assed apologies. There's no sincerity. Their leaders still go to the Yasukuni and worship warlords and war criminals. So where's the sincerity in their apology? If they actually genuinely felt, sorry for this, they would educate their next generation in their textbooks of the atrocities of what they did. They would actually make memorials for the victims of the Japanese colonial era. They would own up to what they did with actions, and some during some administrations, the Japanese government sent over funds as well too. But then whether that's substantial and sufficient amount of money is also a subjective matter. So there's a lot of debate on this. But in general, what people say is just they're like, look at what Germany does. Like if Japan does at least half of what Germany does towards like, their own war crimes, they educate that they were wrong, and the new generation knows, and they're shameful about their own country's past. But the difference is in Japan, the younger generation doesn't care, they don't know, And they're like, "Oh yeah, we heard like our country killed a lot of people and conquered other countries, but yeah, so what?" That's the mentality over there. So it's a very subjective and gray area, and what the metrics are going to be as for whether Korea is going to be satisfied or not is just very tricky. Yeah. hmm no apology from Japan. They've done like paper apologies and they've sent some money over, and some governments have said, like, "Oh yeah, they apologize. Let's go it over, and now let's get into progressive, relationships with Japan and look into the future and whatever." Um, but yeah, as I told you, it's just very very difficult to actually judge whether this is enough or not. hmm Yeah. The Yasukuni Shrine is one of the bizarre commitments by the Japanese government that doesn't seem to actually accomplish anything useful. Exactly. They didn't apologize to China. China's still making dramas about the Japan war. Korea too. Yeah. We will forever make dramas and movies and films about exposing what Japan did in the past. Yeah. So, okay. All right. Wow, we've been going on for an hour and 10 minutes so far. And let's see over here. Okay. Yeah, we are already at our last segment of the day, and we'll move on over to Patreon. Let me just have a sip of water. Just checking if I missed any of the donations since I rolled out these new perks. I don't want to miss any of them. Oh, you got messages too. Yes, you are stepping up your game. Congrats. Wouldn't it be great if we literally have you bowing more than talking? Yeah. Okay. Um, it's a sensitive topic between Japan, China, and Korea when it comes to war history. It's a lose-lose situation when discussing it. Yeah. But like, you know where to stand in history. Like Korea and China are the victims, Japan was the colonizer. So there's no debate about that. Yeah. Aaron, thank you for the $2. Good show today, David. Yeah, you didn't meet the $5 threshold, but I'll give you a thank you. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. Okay, so since this is the Korean people and culture channel, I will do my appreciations in Korean. Yes. Okay, on to the last news for today. So just yesterday was Liberation Day, and yeah, August 15th is called 광복절. It's South Korea's Liberation Day, celebrating freedom from Japanese colonial rule in 1945 after 35 years of occupation. And 광복절 translates into the day the light returned, literally. And yeah, this year it was a little bit special because it was focused heavily on victim honors, historical cleanup, and national identity. So yeah, we celebrate every year of Liberation Day, obviously, and yeah, it was the establishment of the Republic of Korea government officially. So, it's like, I guess, like what is it? I forget. July the 4th, is it for America? I don't know. Yeah, my American history is very weak. But yeah, this year it was special but sad at the same time. The official Memorial Day for victims of Japanese military sexual slavery, President Lee Jae-myung delivered a high-profile national message upon it, and the president pledged full government responsibility to restore the honor and dignity of the victims, so-called the comfort women, forced into wartime sexual slavery. Like, if you actually go on Wikipedia and read a little bit about the comfort women, yeah, like it's pretty, yeah, it's hard to read. So he announced the formal establishment of the Women's Human Rights and Peace Foundation to lead international solidarity efforts and preserve historical truth across Asia. I think that's the best we can do as a nation to just, not forget and educate the younger generation about what we went through and what kind of sacrifices and the atrocities were there and what kind of the victims or what they went through. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing with this live stream as well. And as of mid 2026, right now, only 8 registered comfort women survivors remain alive in South Korea out of the 240 original government registered victims. So all of them have um, passed away due to age, and the average age of the 8 survivors right now exceed 95 years old. So time's ticking. Like, we're not going to have any survivors left. Like in the next 5 to 10 years, probably. And time's rapidly running out to document direct testimonies and secure formal accountability. In Japan, they're just waiting this out. Like the comfort woman has been a very uncomfortable subject for them, and that's why we have these statues called the Sonyosang. It's like these statues of little girls confronting and facing towards the Japanese embassy or whatever related to Japan. They're statued in a lot of places, historical places in Korea as well, to just remember. We should never forget the victims of the comfort women. And yeah, a lot of people go there to pay their respects, and they put like mufflers around and dress them with like fur hats during the winter. Um, and yeah, whenever I pass by one, like right now, you can see one in front of Yonhap News in Chongno district. It's right next to Gwanghwamun. That it's because the Japanese embassy was there. It's now moving, but I think there's going to be another statue built in front of the embassy. So yeah, I think that's the least we can do. And there was a lot of debate whether we should demolish the statue or not, because it just makes more conflict with the Japanese government, right? It's like a thorn just poking at your direction every single day you go to work from the Japanese embassy's point of view, right? Like if you look out your window, there's gonna be this little girl staring at you 24/7, and it reminds you of the guilt. But as a Korean standpoint, I think it's like just the basic thing we can do. Yeah, but other than that, the president is doubling down on the cleanup for Chinilpas, the pro-Japanese. And there's public discourse around this year's holiday centered heavily on liquidating pro-Japanese colonial legacies and ensuring accurate history education, especially with the Haeyoung incident too. So political factions debated key appointments to institutions like the Independence Hall of Korea, with opposition parties and heritage groups stressing that anti colonial resistance must remain the core foundation of South Korean statehood. And President Lee emphasized a balanced diplomatic path, firmly defending the historical truth and victim dignity while maintaining future oriented economic security ties in Asia, including Japan. So he's like, while we should move on to the future and have, good relationships with Japan economically and whatever, we should not forget, and we will dig up and investigate on the pro-Japanese families, and we will try hard to make like a certain standard so we can liquidate these assets that were benefited in the past through those trader behaviors. So I don't know how he's going to draw the line. Like, let's say you go to like this great great grandson of a pro Japanese person, and you knock on their door and say, "Oh, we discovered that your great great grandfather was a pro Japanese person, and he accumulated his wealth on selling the country. And we saw that your hospital that you own right now comes from our blood money. We want it back. We're gonna take it away from you." Is that going to be possible or not? So, yeah, I don't know, but the government is trying to make some, I guess, reasonable lines and rules to actually hold them accountable and liquidate their assets. I'm sure there might be clear assets that the government can liquidate. Um, yeah, I'm sure there are like maybe some kind of land that is resting and it's not being used, but it was just inherited down for generations. And there's no actual like further development of the land itself or something like that, right? Or maybe historical art or relics or something from like it's something that should belong in the museum, stuff like that, right? There might be certain clear stuff, but I think it's going to be very complicated to actually liquidate assets. Yeah. Um, Ryan says, let's be honest, even if they manage to liquidate the assets, what are they going to even do with the assets? The government is just going to embezzle the money. Yeah, the government says on paper that by liquidating the assets, they are going to help the families of the independence warriors or the victims of the Japanese colonial rule, like the comfort women, or just more education or welfare towards the society in general, or efforts to protect Tokto or fighting Japan globally, stuff like that. But yeah, I agree. It's going to be very, you know, tricky to actually uh, allocate the liquidated assets into proper areas. Yeah, so seeing a stadium full of people singing Arirang in Japan during the BTS concert gave me chills in a good way. One we can move on. Yeah, exactly. So that was why people were so proud of BTS. Like, who would have thought a Korean artist, if you think about our history, going to a Japanese stadium and Japanese people singing in Korean, our folk song about sorrow and our emotions and our pain would happen, right? So, yeah, Japan should give reparations, especially to the comfort women. Yeah, I totally agree. Even if they did in the past in small amounts, I think there's not it was not enough, and it's never going to be enough. A payment plan might be possible. That doesn't seem unreasonable, right? I bet that'd feel amazing fire Koreans to hear, especially the older ones. Yeah, I saw this senior army with her granddaughter showing her the footage of Arirang. She teared up while she was watching. She couldn't believe it. Mhm. Yeah. What about Korean business in Japan established during World War II? Pachinko. I don't know. I don't think that would be a matter of consideration right now because, like, what's the most considered is what Japan established in Korea, in Korean soil, where we have jurisdiction over and where we have, like, legal grounds over, like, the citizenships and the tax money and the welfare these people are benefiting out of. So, I think for the businesses in Japan, and that would be very few. That would be very few because, like, if you think about the power dynamics, there weren't a lot of people that could actually cross over to Japan and actually raise a successful business. I know that there's like Koreatowns there, and there are little restaurants and little businesses here and there, but most of them are probably not successful. If anything, they would have faced a lot of discrimination and hatred. I think they still do to this day from very far right wing people in Japan. Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, we should just exile all these, kick out all these Josenjings. That's a very derogatory term from the Japanese era. They used to call this Josenjing. It's literally in Japanese what they call a Chosun people, Josenjing. But it's like the N word, like it brings back us the pain. And even if it's like, a word, just a word. It shouldn't be flown away, flown out here and there, right? So, yeah, yeah. So, like a lot of discriminative people in Japan right now that have very far right views, they still call Korean people Chosenjings, and they're like, get kick all the Chosenjings out. So stuff like that is happening. Yeah. If there was any retaliation from Japan, part of the K-pop industry would suffer, I guess. Other businesses too. Yeah, from what I remember, no, that was different. That was Ning Ning being Chinese, so she wasn't accepted in Japan. But Japan is a very, very big cash cow for Korea in terms of K-pop and the K-pop industry. So it would take a big hit, but I don't see that happening. Um, right now, Japan doesn't have anything to say about K-pop, like unless they go the China route and they be like, oh, we need to foster our own music industry and we need to close our doors. Well, they'd have to do the same for pop music too. Then, they would have no reasonable grounds to do that. Hmm. Yeah. So yep. So Korea is always in a very difficult geopolitical situation because if you see where we're situated here geographically, we got North Korea up there on the border. There's China, who's always uh, sneakily, sneakingly looking for that opportunity to eat up, gobble up North Korea. And there's Japan, next to us. We're constantly fighting about whether it's the Sea of Japan or East Sea and fighting over Dokdo. So yeah, Korea is in a very tough spot. There's also Russia. So all the superpowers are surrounding us. It's a miracle that our country is still alive and not it has our sovereignty. There's China, there's Japan, Russia, and there's America, the U.S. stationed in the peninsula as well. And we have so many economic and political ties to the U.S. So it is like, as I've always told you, if there's going to be ever a World War III, the biggest bet you can take would be on the Korean Peninsula. Because, like, one wrong move from one wrong group, it's definitely going to trigger something, a chain effect from all these superpowers. Yeah. And people might not know how rich Japan is, but even being destroyed during World War II, even after that, Japan accumulated so much wealth during that era that their economic status to this day is humongous. And they have so many assets scattered around all of the U.S., the Europe, and prime real estate. They have economic power because they intentionally weaken their yen. So a lot of investors, like huge investors in trillions, borrow from Japanese banks because they have low interest. So that Japanese yen money is just scattered throughout all these financial markets in Wall Street, in Singapore, and everywhere. And yeah, they definitely were the strong powerhouses for electronics, automobiles, whatever industries you can name. Japan was the name of quality. I think Korea is stealing that status now. We're the best in semiconductors. Hyundai is like excelling in over Toyota and stuff, and electronics as well. Samsung and LG. Nobody uses Toshiba or well, what is it? I can't even remember. Um, Shipbuilding. So Korea is replacing Japan aggressively in the global market in arms, weaponry. So yeah, but still, Japan is massively wealthy, and that's why they're still considered, not a superpower. They're not the G2 like China and China and the U.S. And then if you had to include anybody else, it would be Russia because of the sheer amount of like land mass and natural resources and the nukes they have. But then if you would have to like line up someone else, it would be probably Japan or the UK or someone like that. But Japan has massive influence still to this day. And yeah, the US has approved them to rebuild their army. After World War II, we had like a treaty, or like they had to sign some papers saying that they would never raise another army like for offense. They could only have defense. But now they're slowly changing, so you never know what's going to happen. They're like, oh yeah, China is becoming a threat. North Korea is sending firing ballistic, what do you call it? ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and they're dumping in the Sea of Japan as they claim. So they're like, oh, we have so many threats, we need to arm up. So yeah, it's becoming very, very volatile over here. Hmm. Yes. Yeah. The benefiting families of the traders could pay the warrior families an amount of compensation yearly or monthly like a wealth tax, but directly to the families. That would be, yeah, that's a reasonable policy. Yeah, that's actually pretty reasonable and great. hmm I don't think people would be satisfied, but I think it's pretty based. It's not like confiscating all your entire assets and disregarding all the contribution of the next generations. But like if it's in a form of tax or like small portions, and then funding the independent warrior families and the victims, I think that's a great. I don't know. Who am I to judge? But the policymakers and the public will have to choose on this. Mhm. But yeah, okay, we're nearing 1 hour and 30 minutes. Well, here is the highlight of today's live stream. Are you guys ready for the important announcement? So, last segment of today's live stream over here. I am about to announce something very important that you guys might be happy about. Surprise, surprise. Mhm. So, revealing the big announcement, just before you go on, try to guess in the chat what it is. I want to see your wild guesses. I saw some guesses about me getting married or something. I want to see your guesses in the chat before we proceed. And also, we got an after show after this, so should I order some chicken? I only got $20, so yeah, I'm saving up a lot nowadays. I'm not delivering anything because it's expensive. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Let's see if you guys get it right or not. A regular spot on a TV show? That would be great. If you're a TV producer or anything, please have me on a TV show. You got a girlfriend? I wish. David dating Karina? I wish. Share's gone up? Unfortunately, no. No. Piroso, unfortunately, no. I'm working on it slowly. Order some chicken. If someone would be gracious enough to share another 10, then I'll order my chicken. If not, I'm gonna save up. Yeah. A new shoe? You got hype stocks? No, that's like the most unfortunate news ever. You and Anna are getting back for a show? No, that's not happening, unfortunately. You're joining BTS? You're interviewing a big K-pop group? I wish. Maybe. Let's go, David. Okay, so Rooney got it right. Podcast return. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. All the podcast fans in the chat, type 1 if you're a podcast fan. Show me that love. Type W. W in the chat if you like the podcast. So officially, I am reviving the KPC podcast. It's coming soon. W in the chat if you like this. So I've been thinking about this for a long time, and you guys have been requesting this for a long time, demanding this, right? And I've been saying, please wait, I'm working on it. There might be a right time for this. Woo! Yes. Oh, yes. I see overwhelming support. I'm so happy to see the chat going crazy right now. So yeah, I've been thinking about reviving the podcast for a while, and sadly enough, one of the motivations to it were the dwindling live stream views. So I've been doing these live streams recently, right? Crash Override, thank you so much for the gift, the W gift. Okay, that's really great. But the live streams have been dwindling in views recently, and I feel like there might be a lot of factors to it. But yeah, as a matter of fact, I went back into analytics and I analyzed whether if it was actually dwindling or not. But like by average, it was always in this rate. Like if it's like a slow news week, there will be like 5,000 to 6,000 views. If it's like a good news week, or if there's like a big news like the BTS Grammys or something, it would go up to like 20K, even 30K. But I feel like, the live streams, I used to bring on guests and you like to see the interactions. That's the same thing I do with DK News. With Danny, there's the banter, there's the interactions, the ping pong between it. I know that a lot of you guys appreciate the information and the news and the catch ups and all that, and my opinions as well too. That's why probably still by average 10K people watch it every week, which I'm very, very uh, appreciative towards, because like if you think about it, 10,000 people, 10,000, more than 10,000 people listening to me, it actually gives me goosebumps and the chills. Like in YouTube numbers, we're desensitized by view counts, but if you actually think of like heads and a real audience at a plaza, 10,000 people is like, whew, that's a lot. I can never address to actual physical 10,000 people. But yeah, I'm super grateful about it. But still, like, I wanted to just upgrade the channel. I'm upgrading the live streams. Have you seen? Like, I've been doing the donation reactions and all that. I still haven't shown you the 50 to 100 reactions yet, but you're in for a treat. But anyways, like, I'm trying to upgrade, trying to take Mr. Beast's advice. Every video you make, try to upgrade one little thing, and then by the time you are up to 100 videos, you'll be a master or like great quality with it. So yeah, because of that, I've been thinking a lot about the live streams and the dwindling views nowadays. And I was like, yeah, interaction is needed. Like talk is needed. People appreciate my views, but they would appreciate other people as well too, and the comedy behind it. So yeah, I thought I could bring more people to the live streams, but then ROI wise, return of investment wise, like bringing, let's say, Anna back to the live stream, and I can't pull off more friend cards, like friend choices, friend benefits, right? So I would have to compensate the person, and inviting someone to a live stream which only gets like 10K views, and paying them like $50 to $70 would not meet the threshold for like the return of investment, right? So the only way to actually do that would be podcast. And I just basically, you guys loved the podcast before, and hearing multiple voices, multiple opinions, and sometimes fighting with each other, debates. So yeah, I've noticed that. And I went back into my back catalog, and versus the 10K views I get on average via live streams, the podcast used to get like 100K, like 30K, 40K by average. So yeah, as a YouTuber, I think it just makes sense. I decided to do that. Basically me, thank you for the $10. Get the chicken. Thank you so much. Where's the donation board? I still need to refer to it. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. Basically me. Thank you so much. 감사합니다. I'm gonna get the chicken now. But yeah, so yeah, that was one of the motivation points, but also I had a pain point. Recently, if you tuned into my exclusive podcast on Patreon, it's a very dark one, honestly. I expose all my vulnerabilities, but I recently had a panic attack, and my fate and my voice is shuddering now, but I'm dead serious. I am not a person who jokes about this kind of stuff, but there was like a split second, maybe even like 30 seconds to a minute. I now understand why some people unalive themselves due to depression. I experienced that firsthand. I couldn't breathe. My limbs were all shaking. I was like hyperventilating. I was sweating like crazy. My head was all stopped functioning. and the faces of my family, everyone was just flashing in front of my face, and I was like, yeah, what do I do? Uh, should I just like end it all here? So it was a very dark moment. I go in detail in my podcast. It's not something I want to put on public, like the details of it, but basically, I was going through a very big financial crisis. It felt like the end of everything. Yeah, I'm still in bad shape, a bad situation, but me, being an ambitious person that always wants to like get up and grind, I'm trying to overcome it. And the solution I found is like put out more content, work harder, push yourself more. Um, yeah, now is not a time to consider burnout or yeah, anything like that. Like if you're going to withstand and take your accountability for my own actions and overcome this crisis, then just work hard, put out more content. And I felt like, yeah, like let's look in the bright side. Like let's turn this disaster into an opportunity. So I was like, okay, this is the time. This is the right time to launch the podcast again. So yeah, unfortunately, the motivation came from negativity, but yeah, it's now into like a positive outcome. So hopefully, yeah, it's going to help elevate the views, the revenues, the channel growth, and all that. So yeah, overall, just viewers miss the old content, and they love the podcasts, and you guys tuned into it on Spotify and all that. So yeah, that's why I'm bringing back the podcast. I'll go more in detail in the after show after this. So yeah, let me order the chicken before I go into what I learned from the old podcast management and go into the details on how I'm going to revamp it. So I'm just going to order some chicken first. Give me a minute. Yeah, I'm going to order something healthy. I don't want like fried chicken right now. So in the chat, if you have anything you want to ask me or, address to me, like please put it down. Yeah, so that I can answer it right after I finish ordering this. Wow, chicken nowadays is just so expensive. It is just so expensive. Like I can't even my hands are like trembling trying to order this stuff. It's like 20 bucks. How do you order chicken nowadays? I don't know why, but chicken prices have gone up so much. It's literally not worth that much. Literally. Like one chicken cannot be $20. That is just wrong. But my mouth is salivating right now because mm, okay. I'm looking for cheaper options over here that will give me like a $10 chicken. Yeah. Let's see. Never mind. They're all like 18 to 20 bucks. It's pretty much the same. Okay, but I am gonna go with the healthy choice. Yes. Gumne chicken original. Amari. There you go. And the order is set. Yep. Thank you so much. This is from your support and donations. I get to eat a chicken. I get to get a treat for myself. I'm not faking you, but like I've been setting my meal budgets under $8 per meal. Actually, $6 if you convert it to USD. But yeah, I've been trying to save up a lot, but right now I'm super hungry, and live streams get me into the mood that I want to actually eat chicken and just talk with you guys. So yeah, just reading some comments before I go on. I used to have takeout once or twice a week. Now it's maybe one or two times per month. I can relate to you, like seriously. Michelle, sorry to hear this, David. I like the idea you mentioned years ago about doing an Airbnb for foreigners, do quarterly meetups for foreigners and charge them. I would support. Yeah, looking into a lot of options right now. I have a roadmap. It's slow but steady, advancing. Yeah, everything is so expensive nowadays. Yeah, thank God we don't have tips over here. Yeah. Become vegetarian, problem solved. I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but you'd be surprised of the salad prices here. It's even pricier than actual meat. Yeah. Do you like tofu? It's very affordable. I love tofu, especially when it's in soft tofu stew. Yeah. And thank you for all the love and fightings. And please explain how to view the podcast. It's going to be on YouTube. It will be on YouTube. It will be on Spotify. It will be on any kind of podcast platform, Apple Podcast, all that. Uh, David, I get almost every day for a year now. You're not alone in this. It's unbearable, but hang in there. Oh, the feeling of depression. Yeah, it's so like recently. This is getting pretty dark. I won't get into the specifics, but there are certain people, I know specifically two people that are, oh yeah, yeah, but anyways, these people suddenly decided to make unfortunate decisions, and I was so shook. I got the news like after 6 months and 3 months, like only close people were notified about it, but apparently nobody knows the actual cause of it, but yeah, they just decided to do that overnight and they just disappeared. And the there's no explanation to it, but according to close people, there were symptoms and signs of depression, and apparently there's a lot of forms of depression. There's like, chronic, subtle depression that's always with you, but there are also spikes. I didn't know about this because I'm not that much of an expert in the mental health. I've never had a firsthand experience in it, but apparently there are spikes. And that's like the crucial moment you have to like overcome. If you get trapped in that moment and you're in the wrong place, wrong time, then something really tragic happens. And I've heard of two people around me that I know of, and actually I've spoken to before that have made those decisions, and it really, really hit me in a I disbelief. And the fact that I got to experience that, even if it was for like a minute, I was surrounded by mountains. I was in the wilderness, and that's the wilderness and the quietness and the chirping of the birds and the flow of the river and all that. It sounded so ironic to me, and it was also eerie and peaceful at the same time. And it gave me the thoughts like, if I just disappear here, nobody would know. Like all this pain would end, and I wouldn't have to like go through what I'm foreseeing now. And it's the location. It made me even more like that. I ran out to the woods because I was hyperventilating. I needed the air. I needed to like cool down. I couldn't stay indoors, and I just ran out. It was during a trip, and in the nature even made me like more fragile. That was very scary, you know. But anyways, I'm not going into too many details. But yes, I will take care of my mental health. I'm doing better. I'm doing way better. I'm doing way better. And some people might roll your eyes if you actually hear the cause of it, but I'll try to tell as much as I can on the after show. But anyways, going back to the podcast. Going on a more positive note. What I learned from the podcast last season was that the reason I stopped doing it was because basically it became unsustainable. I'll lay it out all for you. I was doing everything by myself. I still am doing everything by myself. From like, I'll walk you through what goes on to produce one episode of a podcast. you have to plan, you have to research, you have to write up the questions, you have to cast, which is the most important part. You have to send out emails, DMs, Kakao Talks. You have to coordinate times, schedules for three different people. Very busy people, by the way. They're all like influencers, content creators, have well-paid jobs. You have to prepare and pack and move the gear, like four podcast mics, the audio interface, the lights, the cameras, different cameras, the SD cards, backup SD cards, your HDD drives, your phone for the timers, whatever, the tripods, all those gear, all by myself. I put it in a travel bag carrier. I just, yeah, all that. And then you have to take care of hospitality when the guests are coming in. You have to prepare the water, at least provide them some coffee, or show them around where the bathroom, the facilities are. You need to be like hospitable to the guests. Also, the setups, like setting up all that gear by myself, checking all the angles, the color corrections, the lightings, if there's any like audio peaks, if the mics are well corrected or connected or not. And then there's the monitoring, which is the most important part, because like during the podcast filmings, that's why you have a producer and like a manager behind, because they're always monitoring if the audio is actually flowing in. Sometimes the mics act weird and they give you like spikes and static. Sometimes people aren't like leaning close to the mic. Sometimes the lights are flickering. Sometimes the cameras cut because it's like 30 minutes capped. So I have to go back. I have to set a timer for 30 minutes, cut the guests and go there and then restart the cameras, all three of them. See if the footage capacity, the data storage is abundant enough. And then after all of that, I need to clean up all the mess, throw out all the trash, tidy the studio, and then transfer all the data, and then edit all of that shit. It's like 2 hour footages, and split all the transitions, upload that, prepare the thumbnails, prepare the titles, schedule it, and then go on to the shorts, and then do like the comment management or whatever. So that's what goes beyond a full podcast episode, one podcast episode. And imagine doing that all by yourself. A lot of people around me, even my good friends, say that, man, this is a compliment, but you're actually so talented but crazy at the same time. Like they're like they literally don't understand why you don't have an assistant. And I'm like, oh yeah, money, obviously, right? So yeah, most importantly, as I said, like the sustainability issue was the biggest thing. Like I was in a total bottleneck of doing everything myself. I was overwhelmed, and carrying this on for more than a year, for a month. I was just so like burnt out and overworked. And most importantly, on top of that, here's another layer: money, right? Guest fees. These people aren't doing this for free, right? I make I call them for friend prices. I know all these people, so I'm like haggling to them. I'm so sorry, but you'll get like exposure, and I'll make shorts for you. I'll tag you all there, and I'm sure I'll make like you're seen in a good light, and I'll return the favor. If you ever need me for content, I'll take you out for lunch afterwards. I'll transport you from the train station to my studio if you have trouble. And then after that, because I'm doing all of this, could you consider maybe the appearance fee being like $50? Like, I really can't afford more than that. Like, the standard is I go on radio appearances and news appearances on Arirang Radio, and it's like nationally funded, and they pay me only this much, so I can't really go beyond that if you think about it. And yeah, a lot of them are convinced, and they're also doing favors for me, so they're taking their precious time out of their days and schedules and coming to the studio and spending 2 to 3 hours, and I'm only giving them $50 per episode and stuff like that. But yeah, if it all stacks up, it's like $150 per episode, right? For three people. And then I usually film 2 episodes per session, because like I don't want them to like waste their time going back and forth. I want a batch film. So it's like 150 per episode, 300 per day, and then every week it's like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, then you add it up, it's way over $1,000 per month. And I'm not even putting in like the fees for the editing softwares or the studio rent. And most importantly, I'm not even putting in my own labor cost and my own effort in there, right? So making a podcast episode is not easy. A lot of work, a lot of finances related, and the AdSense, the returns. Now you might be wondering, so how much do you earn out of these podcast episodes? If they go well, they might recoup the cost. Like some of them that go over 100K might make a couple $100, $500 max. I don't think I've ever earned more than like in the thousands per episode, and usually they're under like $200 to $300. So I'm in a deficit there. I see it as an investment. That's why I have fun in it. That's why I create content and I see the channel growing. And then when the brand sponsorships coming in, I think I've done like 3 to 4 brand sponsorships throughout the entirety of my podcast episode series. And those usually pay you a good amount of money, but not enough to, it barely covers the cost. I'm being totally transparent with you. I'm not like having like good profit out of this. So yeah, all of these considered, it just burnt me out, and you understand why I wanted to like give up on doing podcasts, right? You understand now why I downsized into doing solo podcasts and solo live streams, because it's just way more cost efficient. I don't have to go to the studio, do that all hassle. I'm just streaming via my little camera over here, with little mic, my desk. I just have to roll out of bed with a green screen, and then I get like super chats and AdSense money. So if you do the math, it's way more profitable and sustainable. Now you understand why I do the live streams, right? But now, uh, desperate times, desperate matters. I need to step up my game and go back to the content that had a lot of demand and had a lot of love from you guys, which I appreciate a lot. So yeah, that's what I've learned from the past series of podcast. Little flower for thee. Thank you for the $5. 감사합니다. But yeah, so that's what I've learned from the past podcast. And what I'm going to change this time is I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to burn myself out. I feel like, even if I invest a little more on this, like it's not like yeah, I shouldn't be in the cost of my own health and my own like stamina and mental health and everything. So what I plan to do different this time is I'm going to ease in the burden of doing it all by myself. So I've made the decision to actually hire a minimum wage uh, assistant. It's not a lot of work. I can teach that person to actually set up the cameras, help me like prepare all the stuff and then monitor. Like all you have to do is sit there and see if the camera stops recording or the audio's going well, like monitor on the side for a couple hours. Like minimum wage here is like approximately $12. So I'm gonna do that. I hope that's going to ease my burden a little bit. Best case scenario is to actually hire someone who is able to edit shorts as well, because like I did a simulation. If anybody would want to do like a $30 gig on the weekend for $3, I don't know if it would be worth it. So yeah, even if it's like a long-term contract. So if I have trouble in hiring a person, I would probably try to look for a full-time assistant who does editing and is available on the weekends for the podcast filming sessions at the same time. But in that case, it would have to be like a monthly wage. I am still yet to uh, evaluate what amount of money I would have to pay that person. But I really do think I need an assistant. I can't do this alone. I learned this the hard way. I'm always a very frugal person that has tried to do all this by myself, but I learned that, yeah, that's actually not being efficient. Yeah. So that's one thing. So, thus, Rocky, thank you so much for the 25 Philippine pesos, is that? Thank you so much. 감사합니다. Thank you so much. But that's one change. But I would like to address this in the most neutral and professional manner as possible. Um, but if you are interested, actually, I have made this crowd fund on my Ko-Fi. So yeah, a lot of twisted people out there might be, oh, this was all leading to like him wanting more money. Yeah, you can think all you want like that, but I'm trying to be as transparent and as professional as possible over here. The reason I am doing this crowd fund is to be able to sustain myself for at least 6 months, the entirety of it without getting burnt out, and continuing the podcast and stable, like having stable production and a result of podcast episodes, so that is it's enough for like at least 6 months. I don't want to start this all by myself and get bottlenecked after like 2 weeks and not be able to handle it and put out like 2 episodes and just stop it and pull the plug, right? So in order to do that, I've realized the reality that financials matter, stability matters, and in order to do that, I need assistance, I need guest fees, I need studios, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, right now I've made a Ko-Fi page over here where there's a crowd fund. You can support $2, $5, whatever it is. I believe like there's 300 people in the chat. If every person would donate like $3 to $5, that would already be a lot. I have a goal up there. That's not like a finite, what do you call it? Like a definitive goal, but yeah, it's a ballpark measure of what would be you know, substantial enough to sustain the podcast for a year. That's a year budget, and that's also my labor and my work in that what do you call it amount. So yes, if you would like to support the podcast revamp and launch, this is the Ko-Fi page over here. The QR code is here. You can go check it out. You can see what kind of places I am going to use the funds for. If you want to support, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. There's always an alternative matter. You can always support me on Patreon, and yeah, that's like supporting me like in a very like a long term manner. So I would really appreciate that. But go check it out, guys. And in the meantime, oh wow, wow, I see a red over here. Okay, I was getting kind of emotional, but I'll just finish this elevator pitch and react to your donation. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's my plan right now. And to be transparent again, the moment I talked about this on my exclusive podcast on Patreon, a donor, I don't know if he or she wants to be named, so I will keep it anonymous. If you want to be named, please let me know via the channel you reach me through. But a very generous donor has already fulfilled 50% of the crowdfund goal of 10K. So a very generous donor has already donated $5,000, and that is enough to launch the podcast. That is enough to at least do 6 months, is my calculation. So we already have 6 months worth of budget. If you want to extend the podcast further on to 1 year and more, please go check it out. And it's amazing that I already have 5K. That's crazy. So thank you so much for the donation again, through my own words. And I already sent you an email, a long email, if you've read it or not. But yeah, there you go. So that's it. And going to the reactions. So yeah, wow, wow, wow. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. So that is not a fake member. You can't fake the Ko-Fi bar over there. So yeah, actually, you know what? Like some people might say it's like bait for like, oh, there are crowd funds that say that they've already done like, 50% of the goal so that more people are willing to donate. But Oh shit. Yeah, I can't show you this. But yeah, I'm gonna just show you. Uh, damn, I can't show you without the name. I try to be very careful, but no. But anyways, you'll just have to believe me. You'll just have to believe me over here. Well, at least it's in my account, right? At least it's in my account. You got 5,000 over here, right? 5,000. So, yes. Thank you so much. And yeah, Kate Caitlin, you don't have to mention me. I'm just grateful for your content and hard work. Thank you so much for your $100. It will be used very wisely in creating more content for a podcast. And you said you don't have to mention you, but like just to show what's worth of $100, I'll show you the reaction I prepared for, right? So the $100 is worth a chaebol bao. I'll show you what a chaebol bao is. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the chaebol bao reaction? Okay. So if you have your earphones on, this might trigger some sound. So be careful. Maybe lower your sound just for safety purposes. But here we go. Okay, Caitlin, right? That's your name, right? Caitlin. Caitlin 회장님. 회장님 means like chairman, okay? Chairman. Caitlin 회장님, 감사합니다.
시작했습니다.
감사합니다.
회장님 오십니다. 회장님 오십니다.
감사합니다. 회장님, 감사합니다. 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 회장님, 회장님. You are the chairman of KPC. You are the chairman of KPC. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating. Okay. Did you like my reaction? Caitlin, you are the 회장님 of KPC now. You are the chair, the honorary chairman of KPC. Okay. Uh, Nathan, thank you so much for the $5. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. And Lucia, thank you so much for the $10. 감사합니다. Standing bow. 감사합니다. Lucia, 감사합니다. The background effect is awesome. Yeah, did you like that? I'll have to rewatch that. I'll have to rewatch if it was successful or not. But I was too busy bowing. Like, and if you don't know, my computer setting is like at my chest height, so I have to like squat. You know what squatting is, right? Like the workout. I have to like squat in order to do the chaebol bow. So it was like a workout. I'll have to work on the angle better now to show my. Caitlin, you want bit. Caitlin 회장님, you can consider yourself a 회장님 now. Yeah, wonder what the $50 one is? Well, check it out, okay? Yeah, check it out. And a lot of people supporting me on Ko-Fi. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm getting so many notifications. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't keep track of it. So, anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little reaction I prepared for you. Yeah, and someone anonymous gave me a tip as well. Thank you so much. Okay. What would 200 give you? Just curious. I haven't prepared a $200 reaction yet, but yeah, a $50 one is pretty interesting. Like if you want to check it out, go test it. But, yeah. But that's the plan for the podcast. Hopefully it sounds good and interesting for you guys, and I will continue on to tell you guys more about the new upcoming podcast and discuss with you guys who should be on the podcast, what topics would we talk about, should what kind of vibes it should be, like more informative or casual, friend chat. Should we have foreigners or just Korean? Blah blah blah. All those kind of things on Patreon. So yeah, go check out the after show over here. The link is probably pinned. Yes, it's in the pinned comment of the chat box over here. You can access it for free if you are coming right after the public stream. You will have access to it for free. Just sign up as a free member, and that's about it, right? So yeah, and my chicken's almost here, so perfect timing. hmm Okay, so I think yeah, right. Rorschach is late. You've missed all the fun stuff. You've missed all the fun stuff. Oh yeah, this is the wrong after show page I'm showing you over here. Sorry about that. Sorry for the confusion. The proper after show is this. So this is what I'm going to be talking about probably for an hour or an hour and a half. Yeah, it's 1:30 a.m. over here. So, but I got to eat my chicken, right? So, yeah, it's going to go on for a while. Come on for the Patreon after show. The link is canceled. Yeah, so it's because I said it too early, but let me just edit it right now and it will come back live. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, as long as I go live, if I go live, the landing page will refresh. So see you in like 1 minute, okay? The chicken's here.